I'm going to say something about a purpose life, then I want to get back to the other thing, okay? I was reading some material, and I began to see something. Jesus says that there is one among us who will, what? At the last supper? Who will what?
Deny me?
No.
Betray.
Betray me, did not go with people.
Yeah, that's right.
That word should not have been translated betray. It should have been deliver me.
Wow. Wow.
The significance is found if you just stop and think for a moment. 30 pieces of silver, 30 years old, dead at 33. See, what am I saying to you? Tens moves the numbers or the energy of those numbers and letters from the natural into what we call the supernatural, into the other realm. So at a higher level, so his being 30 years old is speaking of something on a higher level. The 30 pieces of silver is speaking to something on a higher level. The 33 years old is speaking of something on a higher level than what is perceived to be. Judas, he said, the one who will dip in the whatever with me is the one, did he not? And when Judas dipped, what did the scripture say? No, he dipped and handed it to Judas. What did the scripture say?
Don't ask me because I ain't saying that.
It says that Satan entered him. It says Satan entered him, didn't it? Now, if Satan entered him, and Jesus says, go do what you must. Go do what you're supposed to do. So Jesus actually sent him. Didn't he? Think about it. He actually sent him. The question that I raise is this. Could he have possibly gone if Jesus had not said what he said? Because keep in mind that he was at such a high level of awareness that he prevailed over earth consciousness. Think about it. Oh, I know this is challenging our religious stuff. But these are questions that nobody really raised. If he had not told him to go, could he have gone?
It's interesting you bring that up because I read something some time ago that brought it to similar, but I guess a similar perspective, but that Judas's mindset was one focused on a more physical kingdom. Jesus establishing, literally, when he delivered, it wasn't about betraying him like you said. It was about him thinking that all the other times when the crowd went to grasp for Jesus and he could just literally dissipate and move, Judas' thought process was that Christ would establish an earthly kingdom. His mind was still focused on the earthly portion of it, and he thought he would simply do the miracles that people were seeing all along, and then the Roman kingdom would just be like, okay, this is the Son of God, and he would take over a physical kingdom, not understanding that his kingdom was more of a mind mind, literally conquering your mind instead of being in the physical and that. So really, it wasn't about him
I think it's
giving
deeper
it
than
over
that.
for money.
It's
It
deeper
was
than that.
about him expecting something that it wasn't what he expected. Like most of us, we expect Jesus to return and just make everything clean, and that was the same mindset that
It's
Judas
deeper than
kind of
that.
had.
When I think of that, I think of it as like the thing we do, we sort of do every day. When we have conflict or when we have sort of scattered thoughts about an issue. And if we say to somebody, do what you need to do, we kind of give them permission to go off and do whatever it is they're going to do.
Now, he knew what he was getting ready to do.
Yeah.
He knew. Now, this is the thing. He did not have the adversarial thoughts strong enough to push him to do it until after he was handed the bread. It says after Jesus dipped and handed it to him, Satan or the devil entered him. Is that not what he said? After that happened. Now, if he was prevailing, if he chose for it not to happen, because he had cast out, he could have prevented it. So it was, my point is this. I remember years ago, one Easter, I preached a message. Don't be mad at Judas. A lot of folks didn't like it. But this is the thing. If Judas had not done what he did, would we be sitting here talking about what we're talking about today? He was purposed for that.
I think he knew.
After he did know. After the adversary entered him, he did know. Because it indicates that had the adversary not entered him, he wouldn't have gone. And even after he entered him, Jesus said what? Go. He sent him. That's an interesting scripture to really look at. I know she hasn't probably done it now.
And the reason why I say that, because like some people know I got to do this in order for things to go the way they need to go in the earth. And I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that Judas knew that he had to be the one
to do what he did.
Because he and Jesus had a good relationship. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe that. So if I'm wrong, you correct me on
I think Judas was vilified the same way Mary Magdalene was vilified. And I'm going to take another leap. I got you wrong. The whole purpose of the vilification of Judas and Mary and people like that was to turn people away from what the scriptures are really saying. Which means that we minimize the opportunity for them to see the divine nature in themselves. Because if you look at it from that perspective, religion has always said to us, you see Jesus when you get to heaven. You can't do what Jesus did. Who do you think you, Jesus? Mm-hmm. But the scripture clearly tells us, yeah. Don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Ron. And I don't want to get too far from purpose either. Go ahead.
I guess I'm kind of stuck on desire and the strength of desire. If you go back and look at, I can't say all, but most of the people who Jesus healed or cast demons out of, either that person wanted it done or the person in authority over their life. My son, I want you to do this for my son or my daughter. So the authority wanted it done. Judas' desire was different. He was his own authority, and he desired to do what he did. Can it also be that no matter how righteous or enlightened you are, you do not have the authority to change the desire of a man? if someone desires to be a certain way or do a certain thing, that
Well, if you make an attempt to change my desire, you're also making an attempt to usurp my free will.
because as you said, they were friends, they had a good relationship, but he was being influenced because that was his desire to learn. But at the point that changed, he had the right to walk away and do what he did.
Okay, I can buy that. So you in trouble with me too? Both of them. But when I mean, these are questions that nobody really want to address. Because they don't like what the answers are that's coming to them. All you got to do is ask the question. They get the answer. It just makes them uncomfortable. But if you don't become uncomfortable, the root of darkness will not be dislodged. And you never become purged. You see? So, what I said all that about Judas to talk about the purpose of this kid, right? And the other thing is that the other side of that coin, rather, with the response that we have, our response must be one that looks at Zimmerman also. Because if the death, what we call death, right, brought about a perceived beginning of an end, because beginning and end are in the same place anyway, of racism by virtue of it not being deemed black and white but right and wrong. If we can see that, right, then you have to also see his hand in it. Now I'm going to tell you something that also may be very, very controversial. He may have, at the moment that he did this, felt like a hero, like he had done something. But there's no doubt in my mind that he's somewhere looking for some Ambien so he can sleep at night. There's no doubt in my mind that he's dealing with this thing from a perspective different than he thought it would have been. You see?
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? Well, keep in mind that Judas didn't want the silver. When the clarity came, remember?
Yeah.
When clarity comes, you recognize that you are your brother's keeper. And you have reduced your brother, Abel, to a pool of blood. You have made an attempt to rob him of his divine nature by you being God over him by virtue of you taking his life. Of quotations, of course. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So, we have to look at Zimmerman also. And guess what? He also has Neshama, the divine soul in his mind.
Wasn't Trayvon 17?
Yeah.
I just want to read something because you kind of
Oh,
talked
go
about it
ahead.
already. The number 8, 1 and 7 is 8.
Yeah.
It says 1 and 7, 8 represents life. Life is that which contains divine essence, therefore permitting it to transcend the limitations and circumstances of physical existence.
And is that not what we're talking about?
Yeah.
That's the whole spiritual essence of what we're talking about right there. Because, see, this is what happens if you don't see it from that perspective. We get stuck. We get stuck at the creation of all those things that's physical. You know, the physicality of it all. We don't realize that it was up to us. It was up to us to bring the light into us, thus into the earth, right? Let me show you what I'm saying. The whole of physicality was created by the 5th day. Because on the 6th day he created man, remember? Right? So 5 is the essence of everything that's physical. And 5 is also the letter through which everything was created. Hey. And the Creator has given us, or we have created, however you want to term it, we have fashioned ourselves, or we have been fashioned in a manner to do 2 things. To remind us that the work of our hands in the physical only brings about physical results. But if we choose to, the works of our hands can bring about a newness of life. When we see our hands as being spiritual entities as opposed to physical tools. Let me show you what I mean. 5 fingers, right? Hello?
Yes.
And 14 joints on each hand. 4 and 1 is 5. So we're still dealing with the whole of physicality, right? But if we look at it from the whole idea of 10, we talk about law. 10 fingers? Huh? 4 and 1 is 5 with the joints. If you look at it, 14 and 14 is 28, 8 and 2 is 10. Am I making sense?
Yes.
So what I'm saying to you, the essence of our being leads us to see that we are brought here for a purpose, and the purpose is to bring light to humanity, and regardless of how it's done, it must be done. And when there is a man in the earth who is desirous of this to the extent that we say that we are, then you began to influence things like the Trayvon Martin incidents, whether you like it or not. I mean, even here, the crown represents light. Your head represents crown, right?
Yes.
It represents light. The sages say that the menorah is representative of man, of the light of man, the light that he brings into the earth. The outside points on the candelabra on the menorah are the ears. The 2 inside of the ears are the eyes. The next 2 are the nostrils, and the 1 is the mouth. And the light comes through the crown. You see?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that when we talk about the 14, the first word in Genesis is Bereshit, which is 14. But also, it takes all 5 of man's of the man's physical being that pronounces the letters. It takes all 5 of them to pronounce that first word. The throat, the palate, the tongue, the teeth, the lips. And if you go through the letters, you can break them down where it does not take all 5 of those to pronounce the letters. But that word, Bereshit, it takes all 5 of those to pronounce it. So you're constantly reminded, if you look at it close enough, that we are physical only in an illusionary way, but we are designed to bring about light to the extent that we transcend this physical state and move into the essence of who we were created to be. And all of these events that take place in our lives are taking place for that specific purpose. And you may say, well, that doesn't happen at work. I'm not talking about what happened at your job. I'm talking about what happened in Florida. I'm talking about what happened anywhere. That's your life. That's taking place in your life. And whether you like it or not, it influences you. We talk about the butterfly effect, don't we?
Yeah.
So how can there be a butterfly effect in the natural that influences us and not be one spiritual that influences us? We are influenced by each other regardless of where we are. And you remember earlier when I said to you about the connection there through the niece?
Yeah.
That's an influence. So we have a task that's set before us. And the task that's set before us is for us to positively influence everything. Positively influence everything. By responding to it in the right manner. Any questions? I feel like I've been talking forever. I guess since I was 2 or 3. Any questions, seriously?
I had one,
Yeah.
and it was just something that came to my mind. With the, do you think there's any significance to the fact that what happened in Florida?
Push that.
Which one?
Evelyn, do it. Go ahead. Nope, wrong one. Yeah, thank you.
The fact that it happened in Florida and it's so close to Easter and all of the stuff about Easter time and the man being sacrificed within the
I see your point. Mm-hmm. See, it is very difficult for people to wrap their mind around our being able to influence events, whether it be in Hopkins or Florida or China, wherever. It's hard for us to wrap our mind around that. But the reality of it is that that's what we do. And I can see what you're saying. I was telling Ron how fascinating the Hebrew letters are, especially as energy sources, because of the way that they are, the way the words are written, and how the letters. I've learned how to do grammatria, the nuances of it. I've been able to do it from the the beginnings of it, but I know how to take it to the end. To the end stage now. I know how to do it. Gematria is where every letter in the Hebrew language is assigned a number. And when you take the numbers assigned to the letters and add them together, not using a zero, you do it until you come to a single digit. And when you come to a single digit, then, or if you come to a 10 for that matter, that becomes either 1 or the 10th letter. You see? So, for example, once you get to the 10th letter, it then goes 20, 30. Because the 13th letter is mem, and it's 30, the numerical value on it. So Gematria is simply adding, and I'm not trying to teach Gematria today, I just want you to understand that it involves the numbers and the energy flows that influences the words that are written with the letters. Is that clear enough understanding? Okay. In learning to do it, to the Gematria, and in learning to, beginning to learn how to permutate letters, what I'm beginning to see is how to influence things purposely. Like when Jesus changed water to wine. And for those who are skeptical, please understand, he said, not only will you do what I've done, but greater things, and turning water to wine is a simple thing. The way he was able to, the guy, what's his name, the dude, the centurion says to him, I want you to my daughter did. I want you to bring her back to life. And Jesus said, okay, I'll come to your house. He said, no. I command men too. You don't have to come to my house. All you got to do is speak the word. That kind of thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's about being able to not only permutate letters, but also words and phrases so that they connect in a proper way to create life or to change life circumstances. That's what the letters are about. So when we look at them, we also see we have opportunity. Let me show you. We talk about 5 again. What is it? Earth, air, water, and fire. And the 5th one is what? No, air is wind. The 5th one is the electromagnetic force that gives energy to all of those. And how you use that force determine on how these operate. Am I making sense? Yeah. They determine how those operate. So we have all these physical things that points us in the direction of the divine. The question is, are we willing to travel the journey in that direction? Because you can't travel the journey if you're looking at it from an intellectual perspective. It's not going to happen. You can't travel the journey if you're angry. That's not going to happen. The word, is it purity? It's purity. It's the purity or happiness that if you drop one letter, it's anger. So you can't travel this journey angry. If you're angry, you heard people say you're angry at the world. Yeah. You can't travel this journey angry at the world. You can't travel this journey getting even. You can't travel this journey making excuses about why you don't do what you know you're supposed to do. You cannot travel this journey on someone else's coattail. You can't travel this journey if you're keeping score on what someone is doing to you or other people are doing to you. You can't travel this journey if you're always hurt, because your focus is always you. If your feelings are always hurt and you always walk around with hurt feelings, your focus is on you. All those things that I named that you cannot travel this journey with is about you as an individual. In order to travel this journey effectively, your focus has to be on the divine of everyone, the divinity of everyone. Everyone you see, including Zimmerman, is divine. Everyone is divine. You have to be able to perceive that. And when you are able to perceive that, then you begin to see something. You begin to see through the eyes of a Mayan priest who could chart the universe. Because but what you begin to see is, in order to chart the universe, you just close your eyes and look inside and draw what you see. That sounds hard to wrap your mind around, but I'm having flashes of that constantly. I'm having flashes of points of energy constantly, especially when I call myself trying to sleep. And I'm saying to you that this is available to everyone. Everyone. It is up to us to make sure that the olive is always at the beginning, meaning that Aleph, Dalet, Mem, Adam, man, right? Adam. Instead of Dalet, Mem, which is blood, absent of the divine nature, which means that we are stuck in a position of look into our natural being to bring about the delivery that we expect. When he says, he meaning, the Lord says in the 82nd Psalm that I say that you are Elohim. Did he not?
Yes.
I say that. So we have to begin to believe what the book says about us. And Elohim doesn't walk around here angry with the world, because Elohim has a task to redeem the world. Elohim doesn't walk around here selfishly looking for revenge, because Elohim recognizes in order to become Elohim, he must also be a mirror. So when things come, not only do I show you me, but I also see you. We see each other. Let me show you what I'm saying. When we talk about someone treating you a certain way and it reveals what's in you, what you need to deal with based on how you respond to it. Okay? What makes you think that if your response is in a divine way, that they don't see that in you and them? That this is how I should have done this, the way she handled it. So you become each other's mirror. We're only geared toward looking at things in reference to us as individuals. Because that's how we've been taught. And the teaching must change. It has to. You cannot have a heart that's after God unless the Word of God is the primary desire of your heart. Because Lamed Bet spells heart. Bet is the first letter in the Torah, and Lamed is the last one. So when your desire is to have the Word of God, to understand it, to be that Word, then your heart becomes full of it. It doesn't mean that you got to sit there and understand it all. It means that you have to have a desire to understand it all. That's all. A desire. I'm sitting here on this stool talking about things coming from a language that I can't even speak. But I do understand the nuances of it. Why? Because that's my desire. How is it that all of these things can be brought back to memory? How is it that regardless of the question that's raised, we can handle that, we can deal with that? Why is that so? It's not because I'm an egghead like some people.
Want a bit? No.
It's because when you desire, seriously, when you desire the Word, when you desire to understand what's in the book, it is said that your memory becomes clearer.
Okay.
Everything about you becomes clearer. That makes sense to me. Because the Word is light. And light allows you to see things that you never saw before. Think about it. You're looking in this room. But if you were to take a flashlight and follow every little spot in this room, you'll see things that you hadn't seen before. Because it will highlight them. Right?
Yeah.
Highlight them. Give a higher light to them. So that they will stand out to you. That's what that desire does. Go ahead, Ron.
Say no.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I do have a thought.
yeah.
And this is going to seem a little out there, but there's scripture that talks about Herod wanting to kill all the firstborn male kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the wise men come to town when Joseph brings them back, and they're looking for him. But the funny thing is, he was born in one place, and the wise men end up in another city. When they came, they end up where Herod was. And it is Herod who says, go and find him that I may worship him too. In other words, we don't catch that, but he changed his law. You see? So if the law of the land doesn't change, they don't find him.
Mm-hmm.
So when he changed the law, they went right to where the baby was. Now, fast forward that. We look at Obama. When Obama was elected in the House, we all celebrate, and we as a race we saw it as a victory. But really, what it was to highlight racism and bring it to the forefront. He does not get into White House if different cultures don't vote for him and get him there. So if you think about this, they've been picking on that man since he's been there. They picked on where his kids went to school. They picked on where he went on vacation, or how long he was on vacation. Every little thing he's done is being scrutinized. And the people that put him there, some of them have been watching this. Now here comes a kid that is killed. All of that now, the focus is not on black and white, but on right and wrong. Because a lot of people are fed up. So the people that set the law in the land are going to change the law from politics to spirituality. It's going to be based on what's right and wrong. And it all started then. We couldn't see that it was conditioning the mind of man, but that's where we are now.
I don't think that's out there, because keep in mind, it was the female who set the tone. The boy's mom, the womb that he came out of. This is not black and white, it's right and wrong. She's the one who set the tone. So the Shekinah, the feminine energy, is what set it. See, keep in mind now that even when Herod said that, they realized that he had opened a gate for them to find him, but he did not want to submit to him at all.
Right.
He wanted to destroy him. So they went back a different way and left him to his own antics. But that gate was still open, because he never closed it. So there are, and let me show you, he never closed it, right? The descendant of him is the one who did the crucifixion. And they all were, the Herods are descendants of Esau. They were Edomites. So in actuality, the Herods were descendants of Esau, and actually Jesus was representative of Jacob, out of which grew nations. So there are a lot of connections there. There really are. And the things that you have said concerning where we are, the Bethlehem, the stables, right? Bethlehem means the house of light. So, out of a stable came enlightenment. Out of the heart of a woman who gave birth to a child who had, in the minds of people, no importance, no significance, governmental significance, no financial significance, none of that. From her lip flowed the words that set the tone for a nation and how they were going to respond to something. That's simply fantastic. And it was not done in Washington, D.C. It was done in the place where man's God is, New York. Money. That's where it was done. Again, without controversy, without revelation, there is no journey to travel. There is no journey. You will never embark on a journey that does not entail controversy and revelation. You can't get revelation without controversy. You can't. What makes revelation so controversial is because you are seeing something that those who are in authority did not see. And that's where the challenge comes. Because those who are in authority are not in authority because of Yahweh or because they recognize Elohim. They're in authority because they can manipulate, control more energy than anybody else. But the one who's truly in authority is the one who sees the revelation and is able to see the picture, the broader picture, and bring that revelation to the forefront. That's the one that's in authority. And the one that's in authority is usually the one in the cave, not the one on the throne. That's the one that's in authority. The one that's in the cave, not the one on the throne. Rabbi Shimon wrote the Zohar in a cave, not on the throne. Not on the throne.
Thank you for what you're saying, and thank you for what you told me in the past about how I told you the deputy director didn't want me to work where I work.
Yeah.
And you told me you are the deputy director of your company.
Yeah.
And now I'm having people that ask me questions about things. They want my advice. And I realize that it's not about the title. It's what I want for mankind in general. And the only way I'm going to be effective where I work is to have the desire for mankind to change. And there are changes that's taking place where I am.
You have to. See, this is the thing. People who seek titles perceive a lack. But people who do not perceive a lack have titles seeking them. You may never be called the deputy director. You may never be called the CEO. But the authority is far beyond what a deputy director or CEO could possibly conceive of. Because title seekers are selfish. It's all about them. It is not about mankind. If the Creator intends for you to be in a position, you will be there. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Huh? Do you believe that?
Yes.
Now let me show you the depth of that. So stop complaining about the position you're in, because you wouldn't be in it if He didn't want you to be there. You can't believe that if there's a position He wants you to be in, He will put you there, and not believe you're in a position that He wants you to be in now. That doesn't make sense. So your desire should not be to get out of the position. Your desire should be to become the ultimate one in that position, regardless of what it is. What I mean by ultimate one, I'm talking about the seeker of revelation for all those around you and far beyond anything that you can conceive of. That's all you do. That's all you do. You seek that. And you do whatever it takes. Why? Because your priority must be what? What must your priority be? To become aware of the enlightenment that you are for the benefit of mankind. Should that not be your priority? The words, we talked about how, or did we, how the letters are there. And the letters are pulled together to form words. And words are pulled together to form thoughts. And the thought that's formed from those words, from those letters, carry the energy of those letters, the words, and the thought itself. So how it is dealt with is totally based upon your intent. What is your intent for what comes out of your mouth? How many times has your intent been to hurt somebody's feelings? That's got to change. To hurt someone's feelings. Listen to what I'm saying. When I say hurt someone's feelings, I'm talking about damaging someone's emotions, because that's what feelings are they not?
Yes.
And your emotions is your neshama, your soul. So, how many times has your intent been to damage somebody's soul? That's powerful. If your intent is to damage somebody's soul, how vicious are you? How can you tell me that you are traveling the journey to beginning and your intent is to damage your soul along the way? But in the next breath, you say, this journey is about mankind and not me. You cannot have the intent, rather, to damage someone's soul without damaging your own, simply with your intent. Simply with your intent. That's what we call karma. And a red dress, a red pump. It always comes to you when you least expect it. Kick you in the head.
Pastor, when you're on the topic about the workplace and our positions in there, I'm struggling with the position I hold and a part of it that I have to deal with the DSS stuff. That part right there, to me, that's so ugly, and I'm having such a hard time dealing with it because that comes to me. And sometimes I'm that person that has to make that decision. I'm almost like, I'm going to have to have another job. That's how I'm feeling about it right now.
Are the decisions you're making are for the benefit of the people involved?
In some cases,
Who benefits in others?
well, not even so. I'm not even looking at it like that. It's the fact that I'm what's called the mandated reporter.
Yeah.
And when the kid bring it to me,
You don't have a
the
choice.
kid bring it to me.
But wherever you go be a mandated reporter.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
in
matter.
this setting is more so than I've ever had to deal with.
Right,
because of school.
but you're there for a reason.
Right.
You're there for a reason. There are so many things that come to so many people who are mandated reporters and they don't report them, or they pick and choose who they're going to report it on. That is not the person you are. That's why you're there. I have known mandated reporters to get information concerning certain kids, and they didn't report it because their parents were wealthy and vocal. That is not the person you are.
It's never comfortable.
At all.
And it's never going to be easy, because I've had a situation where by the time it gets to me, it's going to go on everybody else, and nobody wants to deal with it.
But,
So,
and that's what we talked about. The journey is not comfortable.
No,
The journey is controversial. It really is.
you got to.
You are there because how do you know that if you were not there, or before you got there, there were children who were not only damaged but destroyed because someone did not do or take their responsibility serious enough to deal with it the way it was supposed to have been dealt with? Yeah. Let me tell you something. I believe that whether the law says it or not, anyone who comes in contact with children or elderly or people who are at some disadvantage, be it mentally, emotionally, and it comes to them, they automatically become a mandated reporter, regardless of what position you're in. You could be riding on the back of the garbage truck, and if there's abuse, I believe that you're a mandated reporter, not by the government, but by the Creator.
Because if it isn't the case, the light is gonna shine. She just has to be at this point in time, she's a conduit at that point in time to do it. And if it wasn't, because I understand where she's coming from, when you're dealing with a situation and you're walking in the mall, you don't know if that parent is just simply trying to get that child, regular discipline or
That I won't go there. I don't deal with that, because if Rika's in the mall and I don't know her and she pop Fred, I ain't got a problem with that. But I'm talking about the stuff she's talking about.
But that's what I'm saying, and
I'm
we've talked about
dealing with
it.
that as
Yeah,
well,
where you don't know if a parent
kid
just made a
might have
mistake.
moved the wrong somewhere and
Exactly,
fall.
and just pop.
It's been situations
and got
more so
bruised.
them than the real bad ones.
Is it brought to you?
Yeah. Okay.
If it's brought to you,
And
you
it's
got
not
to deal
my
with it.
decision to make whether I'm gonna make that move. It's just got to be made. 'Cause
Yeah, and you do
it's
it.
been there.
Let me tell you something. That was somebody I knew very well. I mean, very well. And this person molested this child that was under their care. And when I found out that this had taken place, I'm the one who called the police and didn't care who knew it. Now, I did not go out there and broadcast the person and what had taken place, but I did report it. Are you with me? Why did I not broadcast it? Because both of them needed help. They did not need to be further damaged by being out there. And now, guess what? Everybody involved got help as a result of that, because I wouldn't let it go. Was it easy? No. Was it necessary? Most definitely. So you can leave there, but the energy that you're supposed to take there going with you someplace else. I don't care where you go. When you learn how to run from you, call me. Because I want to run from me. Because there are some things that I have to do that are very, very uncomfortable. But I have to do. And I would not be able to bring to you what I am bringing to you in terms of the revelation that I see if I were not doing what is necessary for me to do in order to bring it. It wouldn't happen. It is just that simple. It would not happen. I did last night, or this morning, I woke up, it must be about 10, there's 11 minutes after 4, I woke up. I got up. Well, I tried to go back to sleep, then I heard this voice say, no, we need to talk. So I got up, and I felt the infusion, the vibration, I felt that. So I got back into bed, I guess about 10 minutes later. I still couldn't go to sleep. I looked at the clock. It was 4:29. And I heard the voice say, now you need to infuse yourself. So I got up. I told people, I got to read. I got up at 4:30, went into another room, and started reading. This is the kicker. When I started reading and went back into the other room, it was exactly 6:30. For 2 hours I read. And for 2 hours, the stuff that I read, I'm like, okay, why am I reading this? I ain't nowhere in the world I'm going to be able to teach it. Not yet, anyway. But it was not about the material on the page. It was about the light that comes from the material. You see? The light that comes from it.
Okay.
So the light that comes from it shows you something that you need to deal with. You see?
Yeah.
So that's where we are today. Because at the onset, I was very hesitant about the approach to this Trayvon Martin thing. Very hesitant about it, not because I was afraid to deal with it, but because I know how controversial the way I perceive it can be. But I am at a place, and I have to get there, I am at a place where regardless of how controversial the perception is, it's just got to be put out there. Nothing changes until people who see the need for the change, seek the change without regard of themselves. It doesn't matter what happens to me. It doesn't matter how you think about it. It does not matter. And I will say this to you, then I'm finished. When I was dealing with this thing from a political perspective back in the day, it never bothered me about what could happen to me. I was always prepared to die. That was just how I lived. And even after I got married, I began to teach Craig certain things because I did not feel that I would live to see him grow up because of the involvement that I had politically. I just felt that some Caucasian would go kill me. And when I was moved onto this journey of ministry, for a period there, I still carried the weapon, you know, my 9 in my glove compartment. I carried it. And then one day, I'm going to tell you the story, it's too long, so I'm going to tell you that. A decision was made. You know, if God can't keep me, then I can't be killed. So I am supposed to be safer in His hands now than I was when I was out there on my own, protecting myself. So it just doesn't matter. So what I'm saying to you in essence is this. Just as it didn't matter out there, it matters even less now. It really doesn't. At all. Because I believe that there can be absolutely no transition on my part until the fullness of time. Now, what you believe about your transition, that's you. The thing that's most disturbing to me is that I had a dream one night and I was 150. That means I got 89 years. I don't want to do that. That's the most disturbing. I don't want, who am I gonna know?
Everybody knows.
But if that's the lot, so be it. And then I also, and I've said this many times to you, that I also, there are times I feel like it's imminent. That doesn't faze me. It doesn't. And it's reflected in some of the writings, I know that. But that doesn't faze me. The only thing that I don't want to do is become ineffective spiritually. I don't want to do that. I do not want to become stagnant on this journey. Ever. Ever. I don't want to be in the midst of people who the Creator has granted me privilege to teach, and they be afraid to ask me questions or uncomfortable to do. I don't want that. I don't want to be in the midst of people who don't care anything about anybody except themselves. I don't want that. Because if I'm in their midst, they have to change. Simply by my presence, they have to change. Any questions? If there are no questions, I'm done. Robert James? I'm done. I have no questions. Go ahead.
Let the light of truth and the truth of the light so shine within us and from us that we know beyond the shadow of the dark that we don't want.